Hi, welcome back to my JavaScript tutorial series. Now we're gonna learn syntax. Right-click the new folder. Type syntax. Let's go to Sublime, and I close out the previous files. I'm going to right-click on syntax to new file. We're gonna save as index.html. And then I'm going to Control-N and again save as main.js. So in the index.html file, I just want to type HTML tab and then at the bottom, we're gonna do a script tag, src and main.js. And then close up. And then here I want you to do console.log 5 plus 5 and then I'll save it. That's right-click on the index.html file. Inspect, make sure it's working. There it is. Okay, good. And the reason why I did that is to make sure that the files are connected. So close that, closes out. Now we're gonna be coding inside of here. So the first thing I want to show you, I'm going to tell you first about what JavaScript syntax is. So JavaScript syntax is a set of rules how JavaScript programs are constructed. So for example, you have variable x, y, z. And then, if I do this and do how to declare variables, you can assign values by doing x equals 5, y equals 6. How to assign values. And then if I do z equals x plus y, then we do how to compute values. So the JavaScript syntax defines two types of values: fixed values and variable values. The most important rules for writing fixed values are numbers are written with or without decimals. So for example, let's comment JavaScript laterals. And I'm going to do 10.50. And we'll do things like that. And those are numbers, and strings are text written with double or single quotes. So like this would be John Doe. There'd be a string, or you could do John Doe like this. So obviously, this is not right in our JavaScript, but I just want to show you the syntax, so that when we talk about this more, when we cover strings. Next up, we have JavaScript variables. And so for this one, comment JavaScript variables. So in a programming language, variables are used to store data values. JavaScript uses var keyword to declare variables, and equal sign is used to assign values to variables. In this example, I should say x is defined as a variable, so I'll do variable var x. And then I can do x equals 6, and I'm going to do console.log. So the next thing we're talking about is JavaScript operators. So JavaScript uses arithmetic operators: plus, minus, times, divide to compute values. So for an example for that, and we're going to comment JavaScript operators. 5 plus 6 times 50. JavaScript also uses an assignment operator with the equals sign to assign values to variables. So just like what we did up here, x equals 6. We're gonna do var x, z. And then we'll do x equals 10. And z equals 100. Then we have JavaScript expressions. Expression is a combination of values, variables, operators which computes to a value. Okay, so for example, 10 times 20 evaluates 2, and there would be 200. So an expressions can also contain variable value. So we could do x times 10. The values can be various types, such as numbers and strings. For example, you could do Josh plus blank plus John. And what that does is it evaluates to Josh John. So what I do is, I added those two together, and so it would equal that. Let's do equals Josh John. Next, we're talking about JavaScript keywords. So JavaScript keywords are used to identify actions to be formed. So the var keyword tells the browser to create variables. So if we did var z, a and then close that, and we did z equals 5 plus 8. And then a equals 8 times 10 times x. Next, we have JavaScript comments, which is what we've been doing here, and there. And this is a commonly used thing where you comment out code, because what you want to do, and this is a single line code. But not all JavaScript statements are executed. Code after double slashes or between a slash and a star and a star and a slash is treated as a comment. Comments are ignored and will not be executed. So what you can do is, you can literally do var equals z, let's say right, and then let's say that you wanted to run something else. Whatever's over to the right of that is not going to be executed. Same with that. So if I just like this, none of it's going to work, which is the idea. JavaScript identifiers use the name variables, keywords, functions, and labels. The rules for legal names are much the same in most programming languages. In JavaScript, the first character must be a letter or an underscore or a $sign. Numbers are not allowed as the first character, and JavaScript is case sensitive. All JavaScript identifiers are case sensitive. So if I did, for example, let's do JavaScript is case sensitive. And we did var last name, comma, last name. Those are two different variables. So you could do last name equals Bob. All right. And then the other one would be last name equals Jones. But what it's gonna do is, it's going to be to different variables. And whenever you call one or the other, it's going to think that it's calling that one or the other one. So you want to make sure that when you're making variables, that you're conscious of that and you don't name things similar names, because then you might get confused or have issues. So JavaScript and camel case, historically programmers have used different ways of joining multiple words into one variable. Camel case would be like this. The first letter of each name is capitalized. You can also do lower camel case, so they would just be the first name like this. We could do first name and the second name is capitalized. So, and then we're going to talk about statements. Let's create a new folder and Control-Shift-N, type in statements. Okay, I'm going to Sublime. Close out the files I had before. Click on Statements. Right-click to New File and Control-S. And type in index.html. And then do Control-N and Control-S. We're going to do main.js. So in the index.html file, once you type in HTML, hit Tab and then save that file. And JavaScript statements are composed of values, operators, expressions, keywords, and comments. So a statement tells the browser to write hello world inside an HTML element with the ID of test. So what I want you to do is, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go to the body tag here and we're going to add a script tag at the bottom with the src main.js. And then we're going to close that. Then let's go inside main.js and we're going to type out document.getElement by ID. And we're going to call the ID of test. And .inner HTML equals hello world. I close that out. And I'm going to add a paragraph tag here with the ID of test. Then let's close that. Have a right click and open in the browser. You can see hello world. And if I inspect this, you can see that the only reason that it's running is because of this file. Now, if I right click, just hit the delete key on your keyboard, it's still going to show up because of ID. But if I delete, and then obviously nothing's going to show up. So that one reason it's working is because of this main.js. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is semicolons. Separate JavaScript statements, and it's a semicolon at the end of each executable statement. So if we go to the main.js and we type in variable a, b, c, and then I'm going to comment. Declare 3 variables. If we do a equals 10, assign the value 10 to a, b equals 60, Assign the value 60 to b and c equals a plus b. Assign the sum of a and b to c when separated by semicolons. Multiple statements on one line are allowed. So I show you that example. A equals 5. B equals 6. C equals a plus b with a semicolon. So I'll see you in the next video. I hope you guys liked this video and found it helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. And if you have any question, comment below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.